Our journey begins. It is day 140, October 18, 2024. It's a crisp, beautiful fall morning, so my mouth is a little bit cold and moves a little bit slower than I would like it to. So if I stumble around my words, that's probably why. Basically, I wanted to potentially answer a question or think through a question. Could AI potentially solve basically all problems that humanity currently faces? This is like a potentially like overly thought of question or whatnot, but it is actually like a decently important question, because if it can, then the race for AI and the journey that we're on is actually more important than more important than the hype. Because sometimes when things are hyped up, it's like, oh, like it's just a fad or whatever, it's going to go back down. But if it actually is super important, then it actually is worth all the effort that we're putting into researching topics around AI. So what are the main problems in the world? There's a whole list. I've done a video, like my third or fourth video on this channel. It's the whole list of problems in current reality. And there's a lot, from like people not feeling satisfied with life, not feeling purpose. A lot of people are just starving, don't have access to good clean water, are dying young of diseases, are dying of painful diseases. There's war. We don't know a lot of answers to a lot of life's big questions, which maybe that'll never happen, but that we actually find the answers. But at least the overall, like, some of the confusion that there tends to be around solutions to some of these questions is the main problem. So there's all of these problems in reality, and what could AI potentially even do at all to solve any of these problems? Well, basically we're saying it would be highly intelligent, so potentially even like a super intelligence type of situation. So if it can potentially like think, it has the intelligence to basically imagine solutions to basically any problem, then that right there kind of solves everything. And then it comes down to like, well, like I personally have lots of solutions to a lot of life's big problems, but that doesn't solve the problems. You need to be able to actually do things that would solve them. So you could solve that through embodying AI by robots, and other measures. And this gets into the whole list of questions about AI safety and whether AI should be able to have access to embodiment, or if as soon as it does that, it would start taking over all of humanity and all this stuff. But basically, that's why you end up with these conversations around abundance, like Peter Diamandis talking about abundance with AI, or all these other people. And you get things like the Culture series by Ian Banks, where it sort of shows how when you get the stage where you have a lot of intelligence, you can start to solve a lot of these problems, and not only figure out solutions, but test and iterate quickly, determining the actual solution and then enacting. So like theoretically, and this has been explored many times, yes, it is possible to, once you develop AI, that it basically solves all the follow-up problems. Any additional problem that you could think of that is like, oh, but AI could overthrow humanity and kill all of humanity. Well, if you actually have true, good, benevolent, aligned AI, then AI itself could solve that problem. And it's sort of like the deal where if you were ever given the opportunity to ask for a wish, you would ask for a wish-making machine, because then you would automatically solve all your wishes, because you could have any wish. And that's sort of the deal with AI. If you could wish for one thing, you'd wish for AI, because it is an automatic solution to everything else, other than perhaps just wishing to like be God of the universe, that could have full control over everything. Obviously, at that point, you could pretty easily solve a lot of the problems because you would know everything. But then that gets into the religious aspect. So it seems like the religious gods that are out there right now haven't done that, even though they have that power. And so it's like, well, maybe we shouldn't be solving all the problems in reality, or maybe we can, it's just that the gods are selfish, and so we need to create an AI that's not selfish and doesn't just want to be worshipped and everything. So those are sort of the thoughts, and why I've personally been studying AI a lot. And it is sort of a bit of a fad right now, just because of the large language models. It feels like it's sort of that paradox of it. They're really great, but not that great. And there's a couple key missing flaws in them. But like, as soon as you get an AI that can essentially do all the things. Like, I think a lot of the ideas that I have in like my pages and pages and words of writing could probably solve a lot of the problems in reality, but it's just a matter of like bringing those about, like getting enough people together that can coordinate these things, getting someone that can actually figure out the solution, that can actually do all of the testing iterations, that can actually build the infrastructure, that can actually do something without like getting greedy or like all of that sort of thing. So anyway, I just wanted to think about that a little bit. Like, there is so much power in AI, and as soon as it comes about, like, the world is just going to completely transform, but you want it to transform positively. And I think as long as you have aligned AI to begin with, then you have that opportunity. But if you don't, and that's why you get into all of these questions and all of these discussions of, okay, is AI actually being created right now? Like, ethically, are we going to be in a good spot once it's created? What can any one person right now do to create aligned, or to help create aligned AI? And is it going to be 10, 100 years away anyway? So then you can't depend on it. And I think in general, that is the overall conclusion that I've come to in some respect, is that you just can't depend on AI being that absolute problem solver to everything. Because what if it doesn't happen? What if it never actually happens? Is sort of the first step. What if it never happens? Like, what if the theory is there, but there's something wrong with our theory, and in practice you can't actually create something that does solve all your problems for some theoretical reason that we don't yet understand? Then you still can't depend on AI to just solve all your problems. So what do you come up with? Well, you're going to have to do all that you can personally do. That's all that you really have control over anyway, is all that you can possibly do to make the world a better place. But then you also come up with helping to coordinate everyone else. Like, if there are other people that would like to also make the world the best place possible, then working together creates a synergy, a compounding effect greater than the sum of its parts, which would allow you to actually bring about this better world. So that is the conclusion to the initial question, which is, can AI sort of solve everything? Yes, AI can sort of solve everything theoretically if there's not something wrong with our theory. And drop comments. I'm sure there's things that I'm not thinking of that AI can't really solve. But even then, I'm sure you could imagine a scenario where you can create an AI to solve whatever thing that you're thinking that AI can't solve. A lot of people say that, like, well, AI can never act like human and can never be this or that human. It's like, well, you could easily, like, there have been tons of science fiction books that theoretically have solved all of that stuff. Like, we are human, so clearly it's physically possible to have humans. So then it just comes down to, is it physically possible to create humans that are non-organic? And it's like, well, maybe not. Maybe you have to recreate organicness and recreate AI. But at that point, then the human would have free will, and you wouldn't have this unlimited source of beings. But maybe you could create, in the creation of those AIs, you could create them to be naturally, so they wouldn't have human nature necessarily. They wouldn't have that evolutionary human nature. Potentially you could create, so there's like multiple different solutions that, like, I should finish my thought. Potentially you could create a sort of an AI nature which is much better than human nature is, and in that, then you could create billions of those, and they outweigh the sort of human nature aspects, and they can sort of solve it if they're super intelligent anyway, and can sort of work on things and are like naturally inclined to like do good in the world. Then that alone could probably be a huge help to what we're doing. So AI theoretically could kind of solve a lot of the problems that we're currently facing in reality. Could it? Can we depend on that? I don't think that it's reasonably responsible to depend on that. I don't think it's responsible. So that's why it's sort of a matter of doing the best that you can personally do, doing the best that we can do together. So if you're interested in that journey, I'll be here tomorrow talking about something. All right, thank you so much. Bye-bye.